Hello, Steve. Hello, Jill. It's time to game classy.
Hello, Steve.
Whoa, 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 return to innocence.
That's all you got?
Cope! I can't hear you. Cope! Cope!
Oh, man. I watched Lost Highway the other day, and that movie, I don't know if it holds up or not. It's just a David Lynch movie.
It's a David Lynch movie.
Yeah.
They're David Lynch movies. Like
They're so bizarre. I
love David Lynch. It's fucking phenomenal. Super.
I mean, I
super
do
awesome
too.
dude.
I really like his movies, but I don't necessarily know if I like them. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a big fan. I actually just started rewatching Twin Peaks.
It's a damn fine piece of cherry pie.
Yeah, I'm making it. I've been trying to do this year to do nothing but consume Japanese content 100%. But I'm making an exception for for Lynch-san.
For Lynch-san.
Yes. That's interestingly enough, the way I learned he died was because of fucking Hideo Kojima. So I mean that's kind of fitting.
Oh, I actually learned it through my group chat. That's how I find out about all of my celebrity deaths. And I know as much as David Lynch pains me, I don't want to have it overshadow too much the death of Bob Uecker.
Who is Bob Uecker?
You know Bob Uecker. He's the dad from Mr. Belvedere.
Oh. Receipts on the China never mattered before. Who cares? When you drop your jacket, when you walk through the door, no one said. According to a new arrival, life is more than mere survival, and we might just live the good life yet. Yeah, of course, and him getting choked by Andre the Giant's one of the funniest fucking things ever.
I don't remember that one as much, but I do. Bob Uecker also for our sports ball players, as people would know him as the longtime announcer of the Milwaukee Brewers and the announcer from the movie Major League and Major League 2.
Yeah. I just sent you the screen grab of him being choked by Andre the Giant.
Said me the screen grab of him getting choked by Andre the Giant. Yeah, wonderful screen grab.
Yeah, that's going in the general chat in the Discord.
Oh, Bob Uecker. But yes, David Lynch was probably the more bigger of the. At least it's hard to say because I think both of them are titans of America.
Yeah, I mean Bob Uecker he's called Mr. Baseball. I'm
happy for any person who got to die at least a somewhat natural death before Monday. But definitely David Lynch was sad, but I mean he really hadn't done a major movie since Inland Empire, and even Inland Empire was just a TV pilot.
He did do The Return. Was Inland Empire after The Return?
Yeah, but The Return wasn't a movie.
Oh, you meant specifically film.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that The Return was a giant 13-hour movie, but that's getting into the nitty-gritty of it all, the weeds.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's sad, but I mean, he was also a fucking like 3-pack-a-day smoker and was almost 80. Like on top of that,
I don't think he was that old.
He was 78 years old.
He was 78. I thought he was 68. I don't know why.
No, he was 78 years old.
I will have to say that his trilogy of movies with Blue Velvet, Lost Highway, and Mulholland Drive are probably 3 of the greatest mindfuck movies of all time.
Yes, absolutely, totally insane.
Including what every single human being who's ever seen it will say is the scariest moment in cinema history.
That fucking trash man.
Yeah, the Winky's Diner.
Yes, the Winky's Diner is fucking terrifying.
There is not and it's weird because it's not actually that scary of a scene.
It's
a masterclass in tension, is what.
Yeah, it's the dread. It's the dread because the actual the actual scare itself is just whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid.
Yeah, it's kind of silly because it's just. I mean, Yeah, it's not like a particular it's not a particularly scary creature because it's literally just a person who's messy. Like it's all it is. But the build up to it, the anticipation, the way he taught, like the acting is so, the delivery, like everything about it is so good.
It's perfect. That's what I say. It's a master class in in fear. It's a master class in just horror.
Yeah, it is one of the like highest tension, fucking scariest scenes out there, and it's really, really good. It's so unsettling too. I think that's I think it's really what it is, because like for me, I watch a lot of horror films.
It's horror. That's exactly
it. Yeah. And for me, I watch a ton of horror films, and I think I'm very difficult to scare, and it's really hard to scare me at all because I'm just so
not to take away from what you're saying, but I'm the exact opposite. I'm really easy to scare, but I love that about myself because it makes horror movies way more fun with me.
so I am not easy to scare, and so horror movies very rarely scare me. But something like this gets under my skin, and this does that like unsettling thing. So it works really well on me. So it builds that tension. So this kind of thing actually scares me, and I get a lot more uncomfortable by unsettling stuff. That's why movies like Hereditary work on me really well.
I will also say that even though we are jerking the crank of the Winky's Diner scene, Mulholland Drive in and of itself is a wonderful horror movie.
Yeah,
and I think part of the problem is that the Winky's Diner scene is so good that the rest of the movie seems tame by comparison. But even if you took that scene out of that movie, it's still a wonderfully creepy, moody movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really, really good film.
And also, I would say there's good chunks of Twin Peaks: The Return that are, I think it's episode 10 is the one that I love, like the really avant-garde one that's like all done in black and white and weirdness.
Yeah, really good. I really like The Return.
Very Eraserhead. Not quite Eraser. I say that is, but it's close.
In heaven, everything is fine.
Yeah. I hate Eraserhead. I'll just it's a stupid movie.
Eraserhead is a goofy movie. I ain't gonna say it's anything about a goofy movie, but like just look at the fucking guy.
Like poor Jack Nance. I get it. It's one of those things where it's like I get it, but I don't like it. like, and I totally respect people who love Eraserhead. It's your own bag, man. But I just think it's a stupid movie.
I think it's very student film.
Yeah, it is very student film, but it's a good student film.
Like, it's a good film. It's a good movie. It's just very student film vibes.
I also really like whenever like someone would say like, what does Eraserhead mean? He'd be like, shut up.
I think that's probably the best part about Eraserhead.
It's like,
it doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything. Shut up.
That's it. You think you watched a fucking movie on your telephone?
Yeah. Oh, that's always my favorite thing is like whenever watching movies on your telephone, whenever Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, or David Lynch were in the news for saying something upsetting, they were 100% in the right.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you got upset by something that Martin Scorsese said about Marvel movies, but he is 100% correct.
Yeah.
And let's not forget David Lynch's 2 contributions, non-weird contributions to cinema. We have The Straight Story, with about a guy riding a lawnmower, which is actually a really good movie. I mean, it's depressing, but it's a really good movie. It's not even that depressing. It's actually kind of a heartwarming story, but it's very good. It was done in the same year that Sam Raimi did a movie about baseball. So all of our favorite directors were doing weird shit that year.
You gotta drive across Wisconsin on a lawnmower.
Yeah, he's got to see his brother. And also Dune.
Man, I love Dune.
Yeah, my voice is a killing word.
Fear is the mind killer.
Oh, my name is a killing word. That's what it is. My name is a killing word.
Yeah,
I screwed that up. God damn it.
You think they'll ever? You think they'll ever have that goofy guy in the weird ass worm bodysuit in a movie on something?
Denny Villeneuve's Dune has the navigators floating around in a tank.
Yes. No, because one of the guys turns into he's got like it's like he like goes inside one of the worms.
Oh, you mean when Leto becomes the god worm?
Yeah, the god worm.
Okay, I was thought you were talking about the navigators.
No.
Oh yeah, he's absolutely going to put that in the movie.
Leto Atreides.
Yeah. When Paul dies and Leto takes over. Spoilers. Leto becomes a sandworm, and he doesn't become a sandworm. He like it's hard to describe, but he like puts on armor and becomes the god worm.
It's super fucking weird.
It's weird. It really depends on your interpretation of it, and I've seen multiple interpretations. But yes, I would love to see him become the god worm.
There's a lot of different versions of it. There's ones where like his head is like he has a giant head popping out of one of the worms. There's one where it's like a worm. It's like the whole worm body and it's this gross, disgusting head coming out of its mouth. There's one where it's like he's kind of like a worm tar. I guess
worm tar.
Yeah, because he's got like a humanoid torso or humanoid-esque torso, and then then his body goes into the worm thing.
I know. Hey, man, we'll just leave it up to that wacky Frenchman.
Yes, the Frenchman.
Let him come up with that. I think is Denis Villeneuve French or is he French Canadian?
That I don't know actually.
I think I'm just gonna say he's French.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. But why not? But yeah, so long, Mr. Lynch. I am drinking my coffee black today in your honor. I'm just saying that for the podcast. I'm actually drinking it with some cream, no sugar, like I normally do.
I had 3 donuts and a Coke. Excellent.
3 donuts and a Coke. I had a pack of cigarettes and a black coffee. I did also appreciate that David Lynch did come out in his last year and be like, yeah, smoking fucked me up.
It did. You fucked him up.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, that guy, he's been on life support since pretty much COVID. He's COVID. He did not do well during COVID, and then the Los Angeles fires basically killed him.
And he got the Zima.
The Zima.
Yeah, emphysema. He had emphysema.
Oh yeah, emphysema. Yeah, but I'm saying it's like he got hit by a lot in his last few years.
I didn't mean the beverage Zima.
That's what I was thinking.
Do they even make Zima anymore?
I think they do. It's a delicious clear white malt beverage, Steve. Yeah, it's like a Smirnoff Ice.
I gotta look. I've got to check this out. Zima, refreshing citrus. It is still available. It's a lightly carbonated alcoholic beverage, and it is still made and distributed by the Coors Brewing Company.
Have you ever had a Zima?
I'm sure I have, but it's probably just not something I remember.
I just always remember with Zimas, it was or any of that like Smirnoff Ice, Zimas, all that. I'm just always like, this needs something else whenever I'm drinking one.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds really good. Lightly carbonated citrus. I'm down.
It's not that great. It's fine, but that's what I'm saying. It's like you drink it and you're like, this is fine. I can get drunk off of this, but it needs something else. It tastes more like a cocktail that something's missing from.
I see. So what you're saying is that it would probably be a really great base for a cocktail.
No, because it's not. But it's hard to explain. It's very hard to explain my feelings on it.
All right.
But let's move on towards gaming news.
The complex world of Zima.
Yes. Welcome to Game Classy, the podcast where we talk about anything other than gaming, if we can.
That's right.
I am your host, Joe, and with me as always my co-host, Steven.
Hello. Games.
Yes. But yeah, they did the Las Vegas. They're doing the Las Vegas Open this weekend. Bright lights are gonna set my soul on fire.
I'm still waiting for another big cheating controversy for Warhammer
from the LVO.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the next one.
There will never be a big cheating controversy because you can't play these games without cheating. There
was a huge cheating controversy.
Yeah, I mean there was, but I mean it's like it's always like something stupid, like I forgot this rule, or someone like like adding a rule and like, or it's never something like a person like Ocean's 11.
Yeah,
like they're going to Mexico and getting like bubbled dice so that they can roll better.
There was the one dude at the bunker who was caught red-handed microwaving his dice and got banned from Warhammer tournaments.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not gonna like shit like that doesn't really happen at LVO, but and I think that guy got caught for melting his dice because his dice were literally melted. So
he did a bad job.
He did a very bad job. Like if you do a good job with microwaving your dice, you're not going to get caught.
Yeah,
and it doesn't even matter because Games Workshop's dice are so shitty anyway. You can't even tell if they already are microwaved or not.
I think I've said this multiple times, and I'll say it infinite times. I still think it's absolutely insane that people play Warhammer competitively, like travel wise, like spend money, like serious money to play Warhammer competitively, and there's not even the baseline level where everyone uses shared dice.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with you. There basically should be, and we've said this before. We haven't said it in a while, so we'll say it again to any of our new listeners. New listeners.
Hey, maybe there's like one.
Yeah, there could be one. That Games Workshop should legitimately, for these large tournaments, the LVO, Adepticon, things like that, shared dice pool where everyone uses the same dice. They should be clear Vegas style dice that, with the hard edges, and that you buy that for casino dice. Casino dice is what I mean to say, but not Las Vegas dice.
Yeah.
But they should be shared casino dice in order to kind of eliminate that. But part of the deal is, Steve, and I've said this before, and I know you know this, Games Workshop dice will always roll in the favor of, but will always roll high. Games Workshop dice always roll high. So if you buy your dice from Games Workshop, you're going to roll high. It's weird. I don't know what it is, but I've kind of just noticed that over the years, GW dice roll high.
Mm-hmm.
So
I wonder if we could do some investigative journalism on this and really bust the conspiracy wide open.
Please. Well, you can't. It's near impossible to do unless it's super blatant. Like if we rolled like 6 dice and it came up 6 each time, we'd be like, well, this is a little bit more. But even that is still random statistics. You have to roll those dice like thousands of times to get like true distribution, proper distribution.
It would be an absolute fucking.
But I think
legendary task.
Yeah, I think GW legitimately does that though, so that they can sell their own dice.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm still on the like everyone should be using a dice roller app. I think that's the best, most fair way to do it, because if you're
I'm gonna put that in Midwest terms. That's like going deer hunting and sitting in a tree stand the entire time while someone rolls deer in front of you. That just takes away all of the fun out of the activity of dice rolling.
You got the only way it's going to be completely evenly fair is if people are using something that is arbitrary, like an app. Like you can't have physical dice rolling to be. It disgusts me, Steve. I'm like hey, I like to gamble. Don't get me wrong.
Like Paulie Walnuts in the Sopranos. I'm just looking like disgusting.
Yeah, I like rolling dice too, but it also depends on how many dice. Because like with Age of Sigmar, like I'm kind of glad I'm out of Age of Sigmar. Then this is one of the, and like no joke, this is actually one of the reasons, is like I do like rolling dice. Like I do prefer rolling dice. Don't get me wrong. I do not prefer a dice rolling app as much as I've mentioned dice rolling apps. My preference is rolling the dice. However, I got into dice rolling app in general because of how many fucking dice you roll in Age of Sigmar.
But that's the fun.
It is not fun being if I can't hold the amount of dice I need to roll, if I can't reasonably hold them, maybe like just over one handful, it's too many dice.
Oh, I love it. That's the whole, that's the whole fucking cojones of the game right there, is rolling a massive amount of dice.
I hate that.
Yeah, huevos. That's the huevos of the game.
Yeah, I hate that, because I mean but that's the thing, it never was that case when I was playing 6th edition Warhammer. You never rolled that many dice. Like,
no, I know.
That's what I want. I want 6th edition Warhammer tier level of dice. That's the maximum I'm looking for.
In reality, I agree with you that the maximum amount of dice that anyone should roll in any given term should be 20, and that is on the high end.
Yeah,
but the huevos. Eggs. You can go for some eggs right now.
But yeah, so I mean, when you're talking like Age of Sigmar, there's times where I'm like, it's like I've got like 56 chops, and it's like I'm not rolling 56 dice.
That's a lot. But let's talk about the LVO previews.
Talking about the Empire. It's all
there's
the Empire.
No, the Empire wasn't. They High Elves were previewed.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, they previewed the High Elves.
Empire's on pre-order. That's what it is.
Empire's on the pre-order.
Yes.
The High Elves, of course, are the same ones. I am happy to report that ham hands are coming back for the High Elves, and I think we are
back, baby.
We were all really worried about that. I do really like the High Elf transfer sheet. I know last time we were talking about the Empire transfer sheet, about how I was kind of like, well, all the Empire shields are embossed. The High Elf shields from back then had the icons separate.
Yeah, they were a separate piece.
They were a separate piece. So the transfer sheet makes sense for the High Elves. I wanted to point that out. We got to see some new models. We got to see the Lord of Trace, which is, just a white lion, a new sculpt for the white lions.
Very, very cool looking though, Nice.
Yeah, and I think I've heard they're re-releasing Core Hill from 8th edition as well. There's Ishaya Vest, the Sentinel of the Silent Isle. I mean, that's an okay model. I'm not like a huge fan of that model.
Every time she's got an eye patch, she kind of reminds me of giving me big Majima vibes from the Yakuza game.
Okay, I will take your word for it. However, we also should not guess on the gender of the model without or at least the pronouns. We shouldn't say gender, but with the pronouns of the model, because I think the model could go either way. I think it could go male or female. I think in the description it does say she. That's
true. I was say that's true, but it does say she's made of Forge World resin right here.
Well, why is Games Workshop assuming the model's gender?
I've got the smoking gun.
You've got the smoking gun. Illyrian Reavers. This is a new kit. They're actually releasing a multi-part Illyrian Reavers, which is interesting.
Plastic miniatures.
I know. Well, they did that for the Bretonnians. They did the Knights on Foot. But this is the first new full plastic kit since then, really.
Yeah.
Which is, not saying much, because the plastic Illyrian Reavers that came out in the what's it called? Isle of Blood? Was that Isle of Blood?
That's what these are set up to look like, and they look really, really good.
And you know what? Oh, Illyrian Reavers were never really that good, so I don't know why they're doing that much effort into these, but
maybe they're decent in Old World. I don't actually know. I mean, Cav in general is pretty good in Old World, so they're probably really good.
And that's actually something that's funny about the High Elves. Well, not funny, but the High Elves always had cavalry was always the best part of the High Elves. So my feeling is, and I haven't really looked at the High Elf list, so unless they're like super overpriced, High Elves are going to dominate for a while.
Plus they also have dragons, and dragons are insane in Old World.
Yeah. Dragons and actually just any sort of monstrous creature, which High Elves have. They have dragons and phoenixes, or Pohenix, as I like to Pohenix.
And they've got the monster eagle chariots.
Yeah, monster eagle chariots and the flying boat.
Yeah,
the boat with the bolt thrower boat. Okay.
We love the boat thrower.
I do, the boat thrower.
Yeah,
we should throw boats. So yeah, everything's coming back. Silver helms, which are the old 6th ed plastics. You got the dragon princes. You got Seaguard. All the fun stuff. So everything's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know if the sword masters though are I think they're the plastics from the Isle of Blood. I wonder if they just like chopped up the sprues.
Who knows? They're dope though.
Yeah, but I'm happy with this release. Everything's coming back. Everything that I love. The only thing that I wish that they were sending they only said that there's two kits that are coming back, which I'm super excited about. The Handmaiden of the Everqueen and Core Hill is coming back, but I wish that they actually were releasing the Handmaidens of the Everqueen, the old 5th ed medals, where they have the spears with the Everqueen model, because I absolutely loved that kit, and I had those models for a long time, and I sold them for a ton of money, and I kind of wish I still had them, because I just absolutely loved that kit. But whatever. I mean, we can't,
If I could turn back time.
Oh, Cher. She defined my 90s and 80s and 70s and 60s. But yes, we do. We have the High Elves coming. I got the Empire stuff. I love my Empire stuff. I know that the Wizards are on pre-order this week, but I'm kind of on a little bit of a money shutdown because I'm trying to save up some money for some big stuff. So I'm not going to be getting those anytime soon, which is sad. But I don't think they're not really limited release, so I'm not worried about it too much. I know they're going to go out of print for not out of print, but they're just going to be sold out for a while.
Yeah, or is it out of circulation?
Yeah, when they come back, I'll pick them up.
Yeah, it's like they'll be back.
Yeah.
The Nurgle guy's really cool looking. The Lord of Poxes, I like him.
Yes, there's new Nurgle stuff got released. Nurgle, the Lord of Poxes. It's a cool looking model.
Yeah, I like him.
I think that the big thing overall though was the Slanesh release. They showed how much of what's coming out for Emperor's Children with the new Fulgrim model. So there's a new Lucius, which is it's a sweet looking sculpt. But Lucius has always had kind of nice models. I don't know. Am I remembering that wrong?
No, his models have always been cool.
Yeah, he's got that. The new one especially looks cool. I love all the new Emperor's Children stuff. All the new Noise Marines look great.
The Warhammer Bray Shaman is fucking insanely cool too. He's got the Warhammer Bray Shaman.
Oh, Bray Shaman. Oh, hey, we're gonna get to it when we get to it. Don't jump ahead.
Come on.
Don't jump ahead. We're talking about Emperor's Children right now.
Yeah, but then
you're like my child on ADHD without his medication.
Come on. I want to talk about Warhammer. I don't care about 40K.
Well, we got to talk about the 40K.
All right.
People actually play 40K. They don't play Old World.
That's true. You talk about playing Old World. You don't actually play it.
We don't actually play it. And then they got the sword guys, which are really nice as well for the Emperor's Children. I like the Noise Marines. I think the Noise Marines look excellent. I really like the paint jobs that they did on them too. I want to point that it looks very sensuous, Steve. All of the curves look like boobies.
You know what? I really like that you've described the paint job as sensuous.
It is sensuous. It's a very sensuous paint job.
Good one. But yes, no, Lucius's old models was cool too. I mean, this one's obviously better, but the old one was also dope. But yeah, no, I think their paint job's pretty fucking sick. I think that these Noise Marine had these Noise Marines been available when I was super interested in doing a Noise Marine army, I probably would have gone insane over this release.
Yeah, instead of those horrible metal Noise Marine bits that you never stayed on.
Oh my god, they're just falling apart Marines.
Yes. I know one thing I do want to note on the Emperor's Children. Last thing I want to note is why would they give a cloaca cover to Fulgrim, but not do anything else that's really goofy and weird with the new Marines that are coming out? It's like there's no boobs, there's no genitals, and there's no cloaca covers. Like what's going on here? Like you give it to the one guy, but you're not going to give it to the rest. I don't feel like you teased us.
Maybe it's to further enforce how special the cloaca cover is.
Okay, that's true. I mean, like the sword guys do look like they have the one boob, one no boob thing going on with like the armor.
I do like the one boob, one no boob thing going on. That's good.
One boob, no boob is what I like to call it.
One boob, no boob.
Yeah. OBNB.
OBNB.
Obnob. There we go. So I do like the release. I think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be a hot seller. I think that Games Workshop has ignored Emperor's Children enough that it's never gonna be a top demand army. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I suppose it's 40K, so if they're busted, they'll sell a shit ton.
That's true too. But I always look at it as, well, why does Khorne, Nurgle, and Tzeentch always sell so well? Well, it's because they've always been available. So like a person's like, ooh, I really like this model. I'm going to buy this model. And then later on when they actually have money, they're like, I'm going to buy a full Khorne army.
Mm-hmm.
And no one since Emperor's Children has been ignored for the last 3 editions. No little kid has been like, I'm going to play with Lucius the Eternal. And then when he gets old enough, he's like, I really want to play with Lucius and the whole Emperor's Children. One boob, no boob. That's their chant. That's what the chant should be when we play on, like Iron Within, Iron Without. One boob, no boob. One boob. I
like it.
Yeah. Yes.
Is there a new Fabulous Bile?
Yes, there was one that was released not too long ago.
Nice.
Fabulous Bile. I don't know. Yeah, they did one. I think it was like a year or two ago.
Okay.
So you have that model at least. I know in lore. I know he's an Emperor's Children character, but I don't think in lore he's really with the Emperor's Children anymore.
Oh yeah, he's got the pimp cane.
He does have the pimp cane.
That's a fucking dope pimp cane.
I remember the old one had a pimp cane too, the old metal one. I remember a lot of people put pimp hats on him.
Yeah, he did in fact have a pimp cane. He was in the classic Jess Goodwin pose with the both arms fists out, facing right, facing left.
No, not the one that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, this is the one with this has got to be. Hang on, this is also going. This is also going to go in the general chat.
All right, let me see what's going on in the general chat. Yeah, that's not a classic Jess Goodwin pose. That's I understand what you're saying, but the classic Jess Goodwin pose has the elbows on the side with the fists sticking straight out. That's more of the arms are sticking straight out. The classic has more of an arms bent. So see, I'm actually doing the pose right now. You can see it.
I can sense it.
You can sense it, but the elbows have to be touching the body is the key thing. Yes, but that's the model I'm thinking of, and I remember many people have put a pimp hat on him.
Yes,
even though he does look like the tall man from
Phantasm.
From Phantasm, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. He's 100% looks like. I thought he was a Phantasm reference.
I mean, he might be. The Emperor's Children do have a little bit of a Cenobite feel, so I mean, that's putting the tall man in there wouldn't be that much of a stretch because it all kind of meshes together with 80s horror.
Mm-hmm.
So. God, Hellraiser 1 is so good. And Hellraiser 2. Hellraiser 3, not so much. But
yeah. The one Hellraiser where they're in the space station is kind of cool.
Hellraiser in space?
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like very bizarre.
Yeah. That's the one that has a young Adam Scott in it, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah. But the first Hellraiser movie is a very underwatched gem, I think, because most people like when they're watching, like they forget Hellraiser 1 exists because they're always going to like the crazy ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like go watch the original Hellraiser. That movie is fantastic.
Yeah, it's just a good ass movie.
Uncle Frank is a great villain. So moving on, we do have the Bray Shaman who is released. He looks like an old gypsy woman putting a curse to be thinner on you.
Yeah, and he's got a little cool dope familiar.
Dina.
That movie's so stupid. I love it.
It is. The familiar not as good as the frog. I would not die for this familiar. I mean, die for the frog.
The frog is come on. No, the frog's overpowered. That's like putting things up against the crab. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't put it. You can crab people. So I have heard rumblings of the old world that after the release of Wood Elves, there is going to be a campaign book, and then there will be a new, I don't want to say edition of the old world, but there is going to be a new kind of campaign book that will deal with the new world. So that's when you're going to get lizardmen, dark elves, Skaven,
vampire counts.
So like a lot of the armies that you're missing from this edition. So you're going to get, I think it's vampire counts, lizardmen, Skaven, and dark elves will all get released in that book.
Interesting.
Yes. And then then extrapolating on that from my in-depth knowledge of the way that this corporation works, which means I have no idea and I'm just kind of pulling shit out of my ass.
Because that's what they do.
Yeah. You'll probably see a campaign book for Chaos Dwarves and Ogres at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean they gotta look. The entire nobody's kidding anybody. The entire reason Warhammer Old World exists is because of Warhammer Total War. So yes, they need to get all of the Total War factions in there.
Total War is Total War 4 coming out?
No, they actually just did a pretty big DLC for Total War 3. But according to James, this company who's much more familiar with this company than I am, maybe in like. We'll start hearing about a Total War 4 in like 2027, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what they would do, but cool on them.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Total War 4, Warmahordes.
Yeah, I have absolutely no clue. I mean, they did announce Total War Warhammer was going to be a trilogy, so there's that. Like they did say, like the Creative Assembly did say, like this is like it was announced as a trilogy. Like That was always the plan. So
Total War Age of Sigmar.
I think it's more. I was just about to say. I think it's actually more likely that we'll see a Total War 40K or a Total War Age of Sigmar instead of more Warhammer. Because and to be honest, like they don't need to do another Total War. They've added everything you could possibly want in terms of factions to Warhammer already. They can just add more content to this game forever. Essentially, they never need to do an update.
I think it'd be funny if like Games Workshop is like, you guys need to add the Sigmarines in there, and then they're like, no one wants to play the Sigmarines. Like people love it. It's like George Lucas going like, people will love Jar Jar Binks.
Everyone loves Jar Jar.
Really quickly though, I wanted to point out that on the pre-orders, I was looking at this morning and I almost forgot about it, but something reminded me about it when you were talking. They are releasing a bunch of old metal Blood Bowl figures, like teams, like just as like I had no idea that they were even doing this, and the models are hysterically bad, and I don't even remember these models ever being released, but this is hysterical. Like they are old Hammer Blood Bowl figures. Like these have to be like pre-second edition, like first edition Dungeon Bowl style, and they are great. They're up for pre-order now. So if
they're awful.
Oh god, they're so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's like they're not even like bad where I want to paint them. These are bad.
The Chaos Dwarves are fucking heinous. They're so good.
Oh my god.
But like the 25 is it 25 pounds, so that's like 50, that's like $60. I ain't gonna pay I ain't paying $60 for these fucking models.
Those are real bad.
Yeah,
but anyway, it's whatever. The you can see them on the pre-order page, even though this will be going up a little bit later than normal. You'll see them on there, and it'll be there for you to laugh at. They're all gonna laugh at you, Steve.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
God, and I wanted to also mention that the Empire Wizards are, since I said the Empire Wizards are up, they're pre-ordering for $42 each. So if you want to get all three of them, that's $126 for 3 models.
That is
or 6 models, I should say, with the familiars.
That is a pricey group of miniatures there.
That is a pricey group of miniatures. Even if I used my connections and got them for 50% off, which I could do if I was a jerk, I would get them at $21 a model.
That's still very expensive.
It's still very expensive. But anywho, let's talk about there's a couple other releases.
The Nomads for Necromunda.
Yeah, which consistently keeps the crown for the most under the radar best miniatures that Games Workshop is producing.
Oh, they are so fucking cool. They're so fucking dope. I really I wish people played Necromunda because man, the Necromunda looks like the coolest fucking game. And
it really does.
And I know, but here's the thing: I am not getting into Necromunda. I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna do it because
Necromunda is
it's not gonna happen.
It's a money sink.
It's an albatross.
It is an albatross around your neck. It's so cool, yet you consistently have to just go like, I can't do this because I will want to buy everything.
Yeah.
Every model released for Necromunda is good.
Yeah, everything's awesome. That terrain, that tower thing, that's one of the fucking coolest pieces of 40K terrain I've ever seen.
It is really cool. But everything released for Necromunda is the coolest piece of 40K you've ever seen.
Also true. Yeah, that new Mortalis zone thing they've got are insane.
Yeah. I mean, here, I don't know if you saw these guys. You may have missed them because I know we didn't talk about them on the podcast. But here, I'm gonna send you this in the chat.
Oh my god.
The tie on Myoto.
I did miss these.
Look at those figures.
What the fuck? Those are so cool.
Exactly. It's like Necromunda is basically doing what the fuck's that game? Why can't I think of its name?
Infinity?
Necromunda is doing Infinity now, and better than Infinity.
Yeah, they're very, very, very cool.
Not in terms of rules, guys. I understand that they're two completely different games, but I'm just saying in terms of style.
Yeah.
Necromunda is honestly one of the under the radar best figures ever. If I had to assign a tier to all Necromunda models, everything released is between B to S tier, and even the B tier is fantastic. Like,
I mean, the co-iron delegation, those like that is, those are possibly my favorite miniatures I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
like I'll post these. I'll send these to you. And I'll
no, I know what you're talking about. The ones with the guy in the chair,
in the chair, and there's and they have all the incense burners.
Yeah,
like that. Those might be like my favorite like group of models ever. Like literally ever.
All you jerk offs who are playing Trench Crusade and saying like Trench Crusade is like what 40K should be. Yeah, those are the models that you want. Like what Steve is talking about, the co-iron, whatever they're called.
Yeah,
co-iron.
You should just be like Necromunda. Necromunda does Trench Crusade better than Trench Crusade.
Yeah, Necromunda does everything better than everything.
It's actually true. Like, should I just play Necromunda? Should I
no,
just?
You shouldn't,
no,
because
no.
As we said, it's a sync. No one plays it.
That's true.
But it's the best. But the thing. Oh no, I take that back. People who play Necromunda have been playing Necromunda for 40 years at this point, and so it's like they're the ones who are playing it. No one new is getting into Necromunda, at least that I know about here. It is the best game that no one is getting into, and it's not even that, like. Let's be fair, Steve. The rules are good. They're not great.
Yeah.
If I had to assign a tier to the rule set for Necromunda, at least the few games that I played in the newest edition, not the newest edition, but like I've played a couple. What I would call third edition.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's third edition because the first edition was the one that was the classic one from the 90s. And then the second edition was like the gang fight book that was released in the 2000s. And I'd say that this is the third edition that was released with the box set with the Escher and the Orlocks. Was it Orlocks or the I don't remember, but it was the one with the Escher gang in it, the plastic Escher gang. I'll say that's the newest edition. I know there's been updates to the rules. I would say that those rule sets are at about I'll say a solid B. It suffers from Games Workshop bloat. It's very the original rule set is much nicer, but it's gotten much more complicated and bloated. And if it's a pickup game that you're looking for, great. The campaign system I know can get very, very, very complicated very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things like if you're a game group that meets once a week and you're playing Necromunda, that's the game for you. If you're a game group who meets like once every 3 months, this is not the game for you.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I've been actually kicking around, believe it or not.
What's that?
Mordheim.
Mordheim is great
because Mordheim has like the established like rule set that's not going anywhere. It's there. It's all available on that one website.
You got to be a little careful with that because like some of those guys who have those websites, I'm not sure they like to add a lot of homebrew into it, and homebrew basically ruins the game. And some people be like, no, it's great. It's fantastic. Yes, for your one army that this guy plays. So everything is designed around this one army, this one warband that you play. So
yeah, no, everything's just from the scans. So
yeah,
like, if it's got where this so like everything on the Mordheimer, it has the source. So like each thing is like, so none of it is homebrew. It's all got like, it is from the Mordheim rulebook. It is from the Town Crier issue 20. It is, so
even those Town Criers though get a little wonky,
but they're official.
They are official. I will give you. It's just like, but I will also say that the Necron fleet for Battlefleet Gothic was official, Steve.
Yeah, they were, but you know what? That's because they just never tested them. They just made up the rules because they just never played them. They never tried them once.
Oh man, I remember one time there was some kid won some contest at the bunker and to win a fully painted Necron fleet for Battlefleet Gothic.
Yeah,
and it was, and they paid me to paint it for the bunker. They paid me a ton of store credit. Mm-hmm. So I did this beautiful army for the Necrons with, green lightning and everything else on it. Nowadays, I would say that it was not a great painted fleet, but back in, 2006 or 7, whenever I painted it for him, I thought it was a really good paint job. I did custom bases for it too. Mm. But I know that this kid immediately took it and then sold it on eBay. It really kind of made me mad, but whatever. I don't. All right. So what else we got? We got I'm just looking at LVO. I think that's about it. And the Thalax, Thanatar Calyx, not Thalax. Thanatar Calyx got released for 30K, which is the big robots for the Mechanicum. And
yes.
They're very cool kits. They were available in resin for a long time, but now they're plastic. I do really love the look of the Mechanicum in 30K. I like that they're more robots than actual soldiers. So, I mean, that's like a big draw. A lot of people think of like Mechanicum as like, why would I play 30K Mechanicum? They're exactly the same as the 40K Mechanicum. They're very, very different feels and looks to them. So if you like big robots, that's kind of more of an army to play. But once again, I am also saying, if you are playing Horus Heresy, why the hell are you not playing a Space Marine army? That's what you should be playing in that game. Yes, play Space Marines, and then your second army can be Mechanicum if you want something a little flavor different.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's been the LVO releases. Did I miss anything on that one?
Nope. Looks like you got everything to me.
Until we find out that there was a big cheating scandal. That's all that we know for right now.
Come on, cheating scandal. Let's go.
Come on. Come on,
baby.
I finally got a chance to dig into the new player handbook and the Dungeon Master Guide for Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. So the player's handbook, very good. It has I would say a 15% power increase to the player.
Yeah, so much. So they're already so overpowered. They're getting even more overpowered.
Yes, it's very overpowered. However, I did come across a situation in a game that I was recently playing where I implemented a couple of the rules from the new player's handbook just to test it out, and it actually helped with this overall story. But I don't think it did it for good. I actually questioned my use of it after I did it, because I was like, this could have led to a better story beat if I didn't allow this to happen.
Right.
I don't want to spoil too much on it because I know I have some players who are here who listen, but I was like, I shouldn't have done that. But it's definitely swingy towards the players. I know some players are really enjoying the new rules, but I will not be using them in the meantime. Dungeon Master's Guide is pretty much just the Dungeon Master's Guide. There's nothing of note in the Dungeon Master's Guide that I at least saw in my brief overview of it.
We know the money book is the one that's coming next. The Monster Manual.
The monsters. You love the monsters.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fine. I think that there was a couple things that I was kind of thinking that would be good for like the monster manual. Like, okay, so what they need is, instead of a monster manual, they need to do a common enemies book and then a monsters manual. And what I mean by a common enemies book is like, all right, these are mobs that you're going to get levels 0 to 5 that you're going to fight with. Now, not just monsters. I'm talking like bandits, thieves, bullywugs, goblins, things like that, like basic mobs. And like, how do you form these mobs? Like, what size mob should be for this level for this many players? Like, there should be a chart, like a grid almost. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, you have 6 players, they are this level, they should be fighting this many bad guys. I think that would be something beneficial as a book supplement, or even if you want to put that in the monster manual. But I also think with like bandits, right? What are elf bandits going to be? How are elf bandits going to be different than dwarf bandits? How are human bandits going to be different than halfling bandits? Sure. Like, is this a mixed bandit group? Things like that. I think that would make games more interesting. I'm often coming across that where it's like, oh, they come across a group of 10 bandits. Well, tell me about these fucking bandits. Like,
I want to start a miniatures game company just so I can release a box set called Mixed Bandits.
Mixed Bandits?
Yes, Mixed Bandits.
Is that like mixed nuts?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Like, okay.
Maybe one of them can have Mr. Peanut hat. Mr. Peanut Hat.
Do you think that Mr. Peanut's peanut is transfer? Like, if Mr. Peanut got into a car accident, he could transfer that peanut as like an organ donation to a peanut M&M?
Yeah. So like, are in the anthropomorphic peanut world, are those peanuts like their body organs, or are they like? Is it like more of like a mystical thing? Like if I like crack open a peanut and take their nut out and put it into another peanut, like what happens?
Are you saying it's like the what's it called from Transformers?
Is it the Allspark? I don't know.
Is it the Allspark? Yeah, it's like you pull out the peanut from Mr. Peanut. It's like you got the touch.
You got the power.
And then you have that one robot voiced by Robert Stack trying to put the peanut halves back together. He's like, shit,
it won't fit. Get together, damn you. He says, damn you. He says, damn.
Yeah, that's what. Damn you.
Yeah,
and then they put it together
because Spike says shit and Ultra Magnus says damn in that movie.
Yeah, and then the peanuts go together. Then the green yellow peanut M&M puts them together and it goes in his chest and he becomes Peanut Prime.
Peanut Prime.
The one voiced by J.K. Simmons.
Yes.
You got the power.
Now, Prime, finish him off.
You never walk, you always run.
You're a winner.
Dreams. Also sung by Dirk Diggler in Boogie Nights. Anywho, but yes, I would like Mixed Bandit. And I'm like, people say like, well, this homebrew thing by Dragon Killer 32 says that you could. No, I need something official. Like, homebrew is fine, and there's many homebrew things that are great. Kobold Press does wonderful things. Oh, a lot of OSR stuff does wonderful things, but I want something from Wizards, from D&D that actually tells me about putting together a good Mixed Bandit group. Like with levels, and I'm not talking just bandits, I'm talking like kobolds. How many kobolds do I have with a level 5 party of 4 or 5? Something that I can easily do, because here's the reason why, and I'm going to point this out there. I have a group of 6 D&D players, right, Steve?
Mm-hmm.
On occasion, almost every session, I will have one person drop. Sometimes I have 2 people drop. So if I'm planning, I have to plan for 5. So if I plan for 5, inevitably at the game, I will have either 6 or 4. If I plan for 6, I'm going to have 5. If I plan for 4, I'm going to have 6.
Right.
So sometimes stuff turns out too easy. Sometimes stuff turns out too hard. However, if I had a quick chart reference that I could just go to and say, boom, this many players for this level, blah, blah, blah. Perfect. That's all I need. It's kind of just like a quick chart for low-level encounters.
Yeah, like a fast thing. There's probably something somewhere that someone has done that can.
No. I want official.
Yes.
That's the thing. I want official.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know if they'll.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like a low level D&D encounters book for like building encounters for your DM, because the DM guide does have how to build your encounters, and it's a fucking nightmare. It's been a nightmare since 2nd edition. It's been a nightmare since the beginning of Dungeons and Dragons and how to build an encounter. It has never worked to the level of. There's never been an easy way to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna go, you can use D&D Beyond, and it could, but no, I will not be using D&D Beyond because it is a fucking money sink. I don't need that. It's worse money sink than Necromunda.
That's impossible.
It's like I was trying to build a bugbear character for one of my players on D&D Beyond. I will say D&D Beyond has a very, very good character builder on it. Like everybody, I'll just tell you, if you're building a D&D character and it is one of the from the player's handbook character, easy to use that. However, it's like, I have, all these other books that I bought for Dungeons and Dragons. I wonder if I could, input a code or something. And it's like, no, you fucking idiot. You don't get to put a code in if you bought the $60 book. You have to buy a $30 version of this book online. Oh, well, that's terrible. Well, at least you have a new edition coming out, so maybe the books are cheaper. No, you idiot. They're $35 for this book to add it onto your D&D Beyond account. But I just want to buy a bugbear. Can I buy that for like 99 cents? No, you idiot. Why would we allow that? Fun fucking money grubbers. Anywho. All right. So do we have anything else that we need to talk
about? Diamond Comics is declaring bankruptcy.
What?
Yeah.
Diamond Comics.
Yeah.
Declaring bankruptcy. That's an end of an era right there.
Yeah. So they filed Chapter 11. So there's that.
Are they getting are they filing Chapter 11 because they have like a bunch of debt added onto them from some sort of mega merger?
No, because the Geppy owns like fucking like 15 or 16 companies or something, and Diamond is just one of them. I believe this one is just like very old company. Need they ain't got no shot. Like they gotta. But from what I understand, this is with for people more in the know than me. I guess this was more of like it took this long kind of thing.
No, I could see that. I could see that for sure.
Yeah,
I do say that comic distribution is a nightmare right now. It's a very old system. It doesn't work in the new market. But that's also part of the problem too. Is like when we were kids, and I know this is 30 years ago at this point. You used to be able to walk into a grocery store and there were comics in the grocery store.
Yep, all over the end caps. There were comics
all over
everywhere.
the end caps. You would go to, like a Walgreens, or you would go to, a pharmacy, and there would be comics in the pharmacy alongside the magazines. And, you would bug your mom. It's like, hey, can I get this comic? And it'd be like, and she'd be like in the 1980s, 99 cents. Do you know how much money that is back now? But comics are now like $4.99 a piece. They're only available at comic book stores. There's no there's no easy distribution of them. They're killing their own market in the way that they distribute comics. Like, do you know how many comics my son would have if there were comics available at like the end caps in Walmart? Because he would just go, Mom, can I get a comic book? And she would be like, no. And he'd be like, Mom, can I get a comic book? And she'd be like, fine, whatever. Stop bothering me. Yeah, but that's a lot of things. Like comic books would make a lot more money if they were like $2.99 or $1.99 instead of, $5 for a comic that's so adult oriented that kids can't even read it. Like, it's almost like the problem with animated movies in that there is no there is no age pushing comic, like there was no age pushing animated movies like there used to be. Mm-hmm. Now I know you could say anime, but let's take anime out of the situation for right now. But when we were kids, we would watch shit like The Last Unicorn or The Secret of Nim, which were hypothetically kids movies in quotation marks, but they were dark as fuck.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
So comic books would have stuff where it was like, this is kid oriented, but it would have dark material, like, Speedy doing crank and, Superman getting killed by Doomsday, which would make national news. Mm-hmm. And shit like that. And little kids, I'm talking 8 and 9 years old, would read them. And I know it's weird to think that my, 8-year-old son would read that, but you know what? He could, and he would understand it. He might not get it until he got older, but it's allows them to absorb this type of material, like this, a more adult oriented media, like, storyline. And he would get it. It's not too bad, but it's just like they don't have writers doing that anymore. They have writers writing these comics which are fucking way too adult, and the artwork isn't even cool. Like, you can't even follow it anymore. It's so abstract or hyper detailed. It's like, just give us some like old fashioned Superman, man. That's what we need. And then you got Diamond Comics. Like, well, that ends our business after destroying the market.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I do blame Diamond for a lot of the problems that happened in the 90s.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know enough about like comics is like a very like as far as my interaction with comics is, I'm a comic fan, but that's as far as it goes. I don't know like anything about like the the comic industry, things that other than like very broad stuff. Like I know manga outsells comics. I know and you always want Batman. That's those things I know.
That's true. I don't follow comics as much as I used to. I got out of comics right around, when did I get out of comics? I don't know. I would say right before DC got into the new 52 era. So that was like late 2000s kind of. I would still follow it occasionally. I was reading a lot more indie press books in the early 2010s. But yeah, I kind of left after that era. Like when I was getting into indie press, I mean more like I was reading a lot of Conan and Hellboy at that time, which are still like my favorite books to read.
Yeah, I mean, Conan and Hellboy are always fucking dope. I'm still a big fan of comics. You can just grab a comic and start reading it.
I do too. I like a lot of that, but those don't really exist anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's only stuff like Conan and Hellboy.
And Hellboy, yeah.
Like, yeah, what's Conan doing? I don't know. He's fighting some fucking wizard.
Wizard. Excellent.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Tunnels and Trolls got bought by
Really?
by a like video game company. From the company's called the company's called Rebellion.
Was Tunnels and Trolls OSR?
No, Tunnels and Trolls was well, actually, no, wait, yes. Tunnels and Trolls would be considered OSR if you go by old school role playing. But if you consider OSR as old school rules, no, because that would be old school rules is always referring to AD&D or like.
Yeah, but that's what I was wondering. Was it like AD&D? But it's not.
No. It was not. It was its own. It's very own thing. But yeah, so like they've got like a couple like random tabletop games. They've got a Judge Dredd tabletop game that they made, like a board game.
Fun.
But it looks like they've made a lot of video games.
Okay.
But they said that there's going to be a new edition, so I'm interested. I'm interested, I guess.
Okay, that's cool. I always am interested in seeing some fun stuff. I don't know why people keep trying to make Judge Dredd a thing with gaming. Like, so many people have tried and it's never worked.
This game did pretty decent anyway. This one it was just a board game, and the reason it did good in my opinion is it looks like an old game.
Okay, I mean,
like it looks like I'll send it. I'll send it in the one final bit for the general chat. But it looks like it is a game it's a game out of time. I guess is how I would describe it. Like, look at this. Like, does this look like a game that is a recent release? I'll get you a close up shot too.
Oh wow, Tunnels and Trolls actually. Wow, Tunnels and Trolls came out in 1975.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, they were a direct competitor with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, that's yeah.
And
wow. I thought Tunnels and Trolls was kind of like a little bit later of a thing.
No,
I didn't realize it was that old.
And actually, before they kind of like felt like they were a serious competitor for a long time until basically, I think until D&D took off because of video games.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I would say, yeah, definitely. It was really interesting. I was looking at like Dungeons and Dragons and Tunnels and Trolls just to kind of figure out like the timeline. Do you know how Wikipedia lists the Dungeons and Dragons kind of editions?
No.
74 is the original. 77 is the basic set. And the advanced D&D. 81 is the basic set second edition. 83 is the basic set third edition.
Holy shit.
89 is AD&D second ed. 91 is Rules Cyclopedia, so I guess they're considering that AD&D 2.5. 2000 is third. 2003 is 3.5. 2008 is fourth. 2014 is fifth. And then 2024 is revised fifth edition is what they're calling it now.
Oh, revised. Revised is a good shit. That's man, someone in Wizards marketing should have fucking said that.
Yeah, this is just revised fifth edition.
Yeah, well, because that was that. I mean, and that would have even tied it to their Magic brand because that was one of the editions of Magic.
Yeah, revised,
for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I don't know.
Because I mean, that's literally what it is. Because it's not a big enough a jump to call it a new edition. We've been calling it a new edition as because we think it's an edition. I actually don't think it's a big enough jump to call it a new edition. Revised seems way more apt, or I still don't know. They could have just called it a 0.5 as well. Like they could have just done that too.
Yeah, I think that enough D&D players are familiar with 0.5 added to the game that I don't think it would have hurt the brand.
Yeah, I think it would have been fine.
Yeah, but revised also works because I think, as you're saying, a lot of since it's Wizards of the Coast and this is technically their first half edition, that would have made more sense for them to call it D&D fifth ed revised or revised fifth. But anyway, yeah, the Judge Dredd game looks fine, but it also goes down to the fact of like, I think Judge Dredd falls into the same category as Robbie Williams, where it's a lot of people in the UK are like super uber jerk off about it, but when it comes to America, Americans are like, what?
I like Judge Dredd. I've read my fair share of Judge Dredd comics. It's good pulp shit.
You're not an average American though.
I guess that's fair. I also really, really liked the Sylvester Stallone movie as a kid. So
did you also really like the Robbie Williams Monkey Man movie?
I've never seen the Robbie Williams Monkey Man movie.
Did you hear about the Robbie Williams Monkey Man movie?
No.
So do you know who Robbie Williams is?
He's a singer, right?
Yeah, he's a UK singer, and he put out a movie, like a biography about his life. But instead of him being in it or about him, it's about a monkey that looks like a CGI Planet of the Apes monkey.
Okay.
And the CGI Planet of the Apes monkey becomes famous, like Robbie Williams does. But it bombs so horribly, and like people are like, "Why did the Robbie Williams Monkey Man movie bomb so horribly?" And everyone's America is going, "Who's Robbie Williams?"
Aha! Yes, there you go.
So it's like, why did the Judge Dredd game not do so well? And a bunch of Americans going, "Who's Judge Dredd?"
Yes, no, I was a big fan of the Sylvester Stallone got me into Judge Dredd. So
yeah, I mean, I remember Judge Dredd from I don't remember. I think I was comics mostly when I would read heavy metal. Judge Dredd was in heavy metal, right?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, he was in 2080. It was in 2080. Sorry. When I would read 2000 AD magazines, because that's what my local comic book store had. They had those in like the international section, and I would read those on occasion, and I was like, oh, what's this guy? I like the look of it. And
I like the cut of his jib.
I did, and then I had a massive encyclopedia of comic books that I had gotten from the library, and there was like a whole section on Judge Dredd that would tell about all of like the stories and everything like that. And I would read through that as a kid, and it was awesome.
Nice.
But
I really liked Malibu Comics and Now Comics.
Malibu Comics.
Comics is fucking awesome.
What did Malibu become? No, Malibu became something because that was where Prime was.
Yes, Prime is Prime. The Ultraverse.
Ultraverse. That's what it was.
Yes,
it's Prime time.
It's Prime time.
I met the creator of Prime once. Did I tell you that?
No, you did not. That's awesome. That's a cooler flex than me saying I met David Lynch.
No, it is not, because I was at Wizard World back when it was Wizard World. Back before, like years and years and years ago. And that was back when we'd spend the night in the hotel room, and we were all in our like 20s and everything like that, and we'd get drunk. So we were down at the bar at the hotel getting drunk, and there was this big guy, looked just like George R.R. Martin, right? Mm-hmm. Big guy. And he had this incredibly hot woman next to him, like way out of his league. Mm. And I'm talking I'm talking with other people, and they're like, "You know who that guy is? That's the guy that created Prime." And I'm like, "What?" Now this could be 100% complete. Like, they were bullshitting me. And like I was talking with him, because you know what? I never actually looked up who created Prime. Now that I'm thinking about it, I just took for fact that this guy created Prime.
Well, here, does this man ring true to your memory? He'll be a lot older. Probably.
I will see, because this could be 100% nonsense on my end. You know what? It did look like him. You can't see it, but this guy was way bigger, and he totally, I think, had the flat cap on at the time, like George R.R. Martin. So this was probably about 15 years ago, maybe 10. No, it had to be 15 years ago.
Okay,
we had at least 2010, let's say.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, if that's close enough, that's what. Although Prime was created by 6 people.
Okay, so this guy could have been one of the creators of Prime. And I remember going like, what the hell's up with this woman that he's with, though? Like, she's like way out of his league, and like way younger than him too. And then I ended up like talking with her at the bar, and she was European. So I was like, well, this makes sense then.
Yes.
So once again, this could be total bullshit, and I have no idea. They could have been fucking with me completely, but I did meet the creator of Prime, and I talked with him briefly.
That's awesome. And then Now I was a big fan of Now Comics.
Now Comics, yeah. Meeting David Lynch is way cooler than meeting the creator of Prime.
Yeah, I was kidding. I remember it was in the Now, because they now did the Real Ghostbusters.
Yes, they did.
And then because I liked the Real Ghostbusters, that was in the same section. Or because that was in the Now Comics section at the comic store. I read other Now Comics, like what was this? There was what the fuck was it? It was a goofy fucking name. Their original character. I can't fucking remember. But they had tons of licensed shit. They had like Mr. T, Ghostbusters,
Garfield.
Yeah, Fright Night.
Heathcliff.
Terminator.
Yeah.
Fright Night. That was one.
I can't.
What the fuck was it? Damn, I can't remember the name of the fucking guy. But yeah, they had a ton. There was a ton of things, and they were from Chicago.
They were from Chicago. I was always, as a kid, I was a DC fan. I was a big fan of Superman. That was my main thing. Is I would read anything Superman related.
Mm.
And then in the 90s, I got out of Superman. I know, not in the 90s. What am I saying? Like, I read a lot of Superman in the 90s, even up until like the wedding issue and shit like that, in like 97, 98. I was also got really into Image comics in the 90s, like most kids. I read Spawn and Gen 13 were like my two big ones that I liked reading.
Mm.
And then in the 2000s, I went back and read a lot more Image stuff. So I was reading a lot of Cyberforce, Wetworks, Wildcats. I loved a lot of that stuff. Savage Dragon, I always dabbled in Savage Dragon. I could never get too into Savage Dragon. or Shadowhawk was the other one. But then in the 2000s, I started getting more heavily into DC with a lot of their crossover stuff with like Infinite Crisis and Countdown, like all of that stuff. I loved that so much.
Mm.
Marvel, I read Civil War and like with No More Mutants, but what I don't remember what that was called off the top of my head. In the 90s, you know what I loved in the 90s and I collected the hell out of was Age of Apocalypse. Do you remember the Age of Apocalypse?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that was so good. I saved up so much money to buy those comics because I was so engrossed in it.
I remember that Angel was the fucking coolest toy. That was dope.
Absolutely adored it. But
fucking X-Men was the story of the X-Men is super interesting. People think the X-Men were like a huge thing from their inception, and they were not. The X-Men was a canceled book. The X-Men was a failure.
Well, the X-Men was a ripoff of Doom Patrol, which was much more successful. There's an argument about which one came first in terms of inception. Was it Doom Patrol or was it the X-Men? Because if you notice, both of them are guys in wheelchairs leading a team of misfits.
Was Doom Patrol from the 60s? I thought Doom Patrol was from the 80s.
No, it was Doom Patrol was from the 60s, man.
Oh, fair enough. I did not know that. I thought Doom Patrol was way more recent.
Yeah, it's let's see. I know this is wonderful for comics. It's
1963. Damn, yeah. My greatest adventure.
Yeah, the Doom Patrol was pretty much, and X-Men were pretty much created around the same time. However, there is argument about who stole what from whom.
Yes.
And yeah, the X-Men, they weren't a bomb, but they weren't like super successful. Like the superheroes were definitely way more successful in the 60s. But then when the X-Men came back in the 80s with Giant Size X-Men 1, that was when they really took off. Which ironic because Doom Patrol had a re-up in the 80s, which was super successful as well. However, for completely different reasons. It's because Grant Morrison was writing weird shit for them. And I do recommend if you go reading Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol, even though I think Grant Morrison got canceled recently, but whatever. It doesn't mean the book isn't good to read. It just means that he's a shit person. I think it's Grant Morrison. I don't remember. It probably is. But the not as bad as Neil Gaiman. Don't look up Neil Gaiman, please. What's going on with him? Just mourn the fact that a great writer has been revealed to be a really horrible person, which is not unusual for writers.
Morrison has absolutely not been canceled.
Morrison hasn't been canceled.
No.
Okay.
No, actually, Morrison might be uncancelable because Morrison is they them.
Yes, that's true. And also Grant Morrison did lead a spiritual magic session where he wanted everyone of his fans to masturbate at the same time so that something would occur. I don't remember the details around it, but that was what happened.
Was that Grant Morrison or was that fucking Warren Ellis? This sounds like a lot more like
Warren Ellis. I think Warren Ellis got canceled. No, that's more of a Grant Morrison thing. I think.
Is it okay? Oh no, what's his name? What's the fucking the Watchmen guy?
Oh no! The oh God! What?
The Watchman. The Watchman was Alan Moore.
Alan Moore. No,
Yeah.
that's not an Alan Moore thing. Alan Moore, your local shaman slash hermit slash crazy person.
Watchman.
He's he's I think he's also I don't know if he's uncancelable. He's uncancelable.
I'm sorry. Did I say Warren Ellis? Warren Ellis.
Garth Ennis.
Garth Ennis and Warren Ellis. Jesus, I do that. I don't know why I smashed those two guys.
They got really popular around the same time because Warren Ellis was doing Planetary and Transmetropolitan,
and then the other one was doing Preacher, right?
Was doing Preacher at the time.
Yeah. Preacher's fucking dope. I love Preacher.
Preacher did not age well, and I think I've said it on this podcast before. I reread Preacher lately, and I was like, oh,
I've been thinking about this, and I've been trying not to go back and watch too much stuff again. Because I kind of like keeping the memories where they are.
Yeah, I mean, you're very well. That's very good with that. I reread. I recently did a reread of a lot of Vertigo stuff that I liked from back in the day, and Transmetropolitan. Like a lot of that stuff that I really liked in the early 2000s just did not hold up. And it's sad to say that the thing that did hold up was Sandman, but now it doesn't hold up.
Yeah. And maybe if there's like a special something that makes me want to go back and revisit something very specifically, like for example, watching Twin Peaks again, I'm cool with that. But like, I don't think I'm gonna I have the impetus to just like do it on my own, because and then this actually spurred from something I did not too long ago. But I did a retro PC replay where I went back and I played a bunch of my old like favorite PC games that I remember being like the fucking dopest shit. Oh my God, were they garbage? There were so many fucking games that were just so bad. I couldn't believe how bad they were. I was like, ah, shit. I gotta stop doing this. I'm gonna wreck my brain.
Oh man. That's about it. But I do have one thing I want to mention.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this on the podcast before. You know how our hobby of tabletop wargaming like just bumps up against like so many other weird hobbies, like people who do scale models and people who do trains, like the train people, right? They're not compatible, but they're like they touch ever so slightly, and there's like a tiny, like if you look at the Venn diagram of like tabletop wargamers and like model train guys, like the Venn diagram just overlaps so slightly, like that's a sliver right there. Right. Mm-hmm. It's probably a little bit bigger than just a sliver because we tend to use a lot of tabletop, train terrain in modeling and gaming.
Toot toots
for the toot toots. But there was a guy who had a massive train set outdoors in California during the fire, and he actually came back to save his train set. And it survived. I wanted to point it out.
That's so relatable.
Yes, that it was like he was. Well, I mean, it is a very expensive hobby, mind you.
It's so relatable.
It's very relatable, but I do have to mention like that the man did his massive. He saved it, and he came back to protect it from the fires. So
that's dope.
I like how that's what we're focusing on. However, all of those rich people's houses, how many priceless paintings were lost in that fire from very, very famous artists that they spent millions on because they have so much money that they couldn't bother to save their fucking house.
Probably quite a lot.
And they don't give a shit. You know why, Steve? Because it's all insured and they only care about the money. They don't care about the actual art.
Those insurance companies aren't going to pay that out. That's going to be that's never happening. They're not paying that out. There's going to be so.
Steve, you want to know what the difference between us and them is? They had millions of dollars and they still have millions of dollars. So they're going to get their money because they have money. Like, when you have $20 billion and you lose $2 billion, you can sue the insurance companies to get your $2 billion back. You know what? And you're not going to hurt. It's like when a person who loses their $500,000 house and they don't have more than like $20,000 in savings. That's when you're not getting your $500,000 back.
Hey, if rich people losing shit and insurance companies not wanting to pay off rich people is the thing that finally gets insurance nationalized, that's fine.
Hint: it won't.
I mean, it's the end game eventually. Like at this point, it's private insurance because it's going to see how much money they can possibly make before the inevitable happens. Because at some point, there will be enough disasters that they're just going to be like, well, we're not paying, and then the whole industry will fold, and then it'll have to be nationalized, or there will just be no healthcare in America, like literally no healthcare. So it's going to happen eventually.
It will happen eventually. So do we have anything else before we sign off today, Steve?
I checked out the show Beef on Netflix. It was pretty good.
And no, thank you. I'll just dismiss you.
I literally didn't. I didn't tell you to do it. I said that I watched the show Beef on Netflix, and it was pretty good.
There you go.
So your response was completely unhinged.
It was. I'm unhinged. There you go. Oh man, I thank you for dropping all of the stuff in the general chat, by the way, because I am just about to say, go to the Game Classy Facebook page. It's the best way to find the link to the Game Classy Discord, where we put up all of our stuff, and Steve just dropped all the stuff that we're talking about in the general in the general chats. You could also, if the best way to help out the podcast is to like, comment, subscribe on the iTunes, or like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTubes, where I also put stuff up. If you want to see more of Joe, you could go to my Instagram page at GameClassyJoe. Steve is currently off the grid right now.
I exist only in Discord.
He exists only in the Discord and in a small cabin in the woods.
Actually, it's been moved to an undisclosed location.
Oh, I thought you were going to say underground location.
All right, I'll disclose that a little bit. It's undisclosed and underground.
Woo! Underground rave. Yes. Is there anything else I need to talk about that? Like,
no, that was it.
So, Steve, until next time.
Now I'm suggesting you should watch Beef on Netflix.
Nah, thank you.
You should. Steven Yeun's in it. He's great.
Game Classy.